So I'm back at Night Shift Auto Lab. It's a beautiful Saturday evening. It's Memorial Day weekend, the weekend of East Coast Bash. I hope everybody is out there enjoying themselves at the track. I am prepping for next weekend. Lebanon Valley is on the 30th, so today is the 24th. So I've got 6 days to get my car ready to drift. I mean, it's ready to drift, but there's a couple little things that I want to do, and then any other spare time that I have is dedicated to getting Louis and Louis's cars ready. So I've got I love how that one's missing the little slide, or this thing. So I've got brake pads to do, rear brake pads on this. I'm gonna do rear brake pads and hopefully be able to get my handbrake to actually lock up better. It works in drift. It's not good enough for me to initiate with. So I mean, it's holding the car right now. The car's not going anywhere, but there eventually comes a point where the grip of the tire overcomes the grip of the brake on the rotor, and it ends up just like the tire spins free. So it's not really enough to initiate with. It's enough to slow me down when I'm on track. It's enough to slow me down when I'm following, but I would just like a little bit more. You know, it does help extend the drift when I need to extend the drift, but it's just, I've had a handbrake that works better than this, so I would like to get this one to that point. So I've got these pads. They're Hawk performance pads. They're supposed to be good for like 20 to 40% more biting force than the OEM pads. So that's what I have on the car right now, is cheap OEM style pads that, you know how they say, oh, just buy cheap pads, you don't have to worry about heating them up, they bite good cold. Well, these ones bite good cold, but they don't bite enough. So hopefully these pads and re-bleeding the system will give me enough braking force. So while I have the wheels off, I'm going to be swapping to these tires. I already have two tires mounted at home, two pairs of tires mounted at home on wheels. So I'm ready for the drift event in that aspect. But as far as street driving the car, the tires that are on the car are down to the wear bars, and the shoulder is pretty worn as well, because I've drifted on these wheels. These are the wheels that I used drifting at the Louis has a big lot for his pool water company, and it's a pool water company, so we wet down the lot and we used the lot for some drifting. We had a couple friends back that we met on Drift Week 3. They were doing a cross country, like around the country tour. They had like a camper and their dirt bikes and stuff, so they came and hung out for a weekend, and we treated them to some drifting at the Louis Lemons compound. So that was fun. That was a good time. But I noticed that after drifting the compound, it rained a couple days after that, and I noticed that it's very easy for me to spin my tires in the rain. So with it being a street car and with me driving it on the street a majority of the time, I'm going to put some better tires on the rear just so that I actually have grip while I'm driving the car on the street. Just the little things. So tires, brakes, and then I also noticed one thing. I don't know if anybody has noticed it in any of the videos, and I'll try and put a clip in here of it. Can you hear the whine? I know. I have a new hood latch. I have to take the fender off so I can run it through the firewall and all that, and I just don't want to do that. Yeah, so I don't know if you can tell from the video, but the alternator is definitely whining a bit. But my alternator has been whining. And with that whining alternator, I noticed a little bit of a smell. And unfortunately, I think the pulley on the alternator is starting to seize, so I think it's time. I mean, the alternator has been whining for a while now, so it's not really a surprise that it needs to be replaced. Hell, I have one right here. There goes some JB Weld. I have one right here that was waiting for me to put it in, because when I installed this one, the one that's in the car now, the only reason it got installed is because my car died at the track. It died at the track, and we had that $500 E36 part out that we picked up. We had that sitting at Louie's house. So I had my brother drive me from the track to Louie's house. We grabbed the alternator off of that car, drove back to the track, put the alternator on this car, and that's the alternator that's been on this car ever since. And even when I just started it for the first time, it whined. It has always whined. It has always whined the same amount. I figured the bearings are going bad in the figured the bearings are going bad. So yeah, I don't see any rubber or anything, but it's definitely making a lot of noise. So I'm going to swap that alternator out with my spare, so that I have a good alternator and it stops whining. And I will probably also, I think I have a new belt. Yeah, this belt is like brand new, has never been used, so I will throw this belt on as well, just so everything gets a little bit of a refresh. But yeah, so just those those three little things: the alternator, the wheels, and the brake pads, and I should be ready to go drifting next Friday. Well, it's actually not next Friday, it's this coming Friday. It's 6 days. 6 days. I'm excited. I love drifting. So the passenger side pads are done. As you can see, still had lots of pad left. Just a crappy material, and they didn't want to bite. So new pads are on this side. I still have to do this side, but I'm going to take a little bit of a break. I think I'm going to do the wheels just so I can turn the air compressor off, because I don't know if you guys can hear it, but it leaks. So the longer it takes me to do this stuff, the more I hear it leaking and turning on to refill itself and blah, 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 and I just don't want to hear it anymore. So I'm going to take a little break, do the tires, then go back to doing the other side. It actually didn't take me as long as I remembered it taking me, which is kind of funny because that's kind of why I've put off changing the brakes for so long. Is I remember them being a pain in the ass, and I'll show you why it's a pain in the ass. So on this the foot brake, that's this one, you see there's only really the strut is in the way a little bit, but you can get a ratchet in there. You can get it in there, use a ratchet, no problem. Now, for the handbrake, can we see how close? I don't know if I can do this with this light. I don't really have a good light here today. This right here is the slide pin, and I can't even get a finger in there. So the way that you have to take it off, you either have to just take the whole caliper off, which is kind of annoying to get to either, like the whole bracket and everything, or come out of there, we don't have to be in there anymore. You got to use something like this, which is a regular like hex key, but the end of it has been cut down to like a third of it, so that I'm able to fit this between the arm and this in the slide pin. So that's kind of annoying, and that is just, it's just where the weld-on adapters have the caliper land. Obviously it works. I just changed it, and it didn't really even take me that long. I did both calipers, cleaned everything with any metal surfaces that get touched, get a wire wheel, and so wire wheel and grease both calipers, and it took like 40 minutes. So I mean, yes, could have done it a little faster, could have worked a little faster, but I'm not here to work as fast as I can. I'm here to just make the car better. And speaking of making the car better, there was a point a couple weeks ago where my rear calipers were sticking, and I wasn't able to tell whether it was the handbrake or the foot brake calipers, because obviously the rotor's just getting hot. I couldn't really tell which calipers were the cause of the rotor being hot. But where was I going with this? The handbrake, when I noticed that when the rotor was hot and the caliper was rubbing, that the pressure in my master for the handbrake would increase. So it would feel like I would go to just pull the handbrake, and it would feel like it was very tight and it was working way better than it was. And I figured that was because of the heat, but I couldn't tell if it was the handbrake caliper sticking or if it was the foot brake caliper sticking. And judging by the way the calipers and pads and slide pins looked on the passenger side, I'm going to go ahead and say it was my foot brake that was sticking and not the handbrake, because those slide pins were disgusting. It needed a lot of cleaning up. So, I mean, it hasn't done it in a while anyways, but this should definitely help that situation as well, because that was kind of annoying too. There's nothing more annoying than stopping your car and a little cloud of brake smoke comes into your window. It smells gross. I hate the smell of brakes. Even cleaning my calipers, I'm getting like the smell of the brake dust, and it's just nasty. So I got to do this side, but I'm going to do the tires first to get rid of, just so I can turn the air compressor off. Yeah, so cool. We are basically halfway. Judging by the amount of effort I'm putting into cleaning up the calipers and everything, I'm probably not going to swap the, what's that thing? The alternator. I'm probably not going to swap the alternator tonight, but I am going to bring it home with me and just bring everything else that I need for the drift event on Friday too, just so I don't have to make the hour drive back down here before I go drifting at the end of the week. Yeah, let's do it. So this should make a huge difference in terms of grip, especially in the wet. So there's that new tire compared to the tire it's replacing. There's nothing here. All right, so tires are all done. So I've got one here, all mounted and ready to go. And the other one is there, mounted and ready to go. So tires are done, passenger side brakes are done. I can turn off the compressor and unhook the tire machine so I can stop listening to it hiss at me. Make sure push everything back. This is gonna be loud. Yeah, so passenger side brakes done. Tires, or newer tires, are on the wheels. I just have to do the pad swap on the driver's side, and then I should be good to go. I'm not gonna bleed the handbrake tonight simply because, well, A, I'm not opening the system at all, so what's there to bleed? I did have the line off when I did the fitting, but I bled that out of the fitting as I was tightening it. And also the air was only up in the front of the car. It wasn't back here. So I feel like, and this is just a hypothesis, I feel like by compressing the calipers and forcing the fluid up to the master, any air that would have been like near that fitting that goes into the master will have been pushed through the master and into the reservoir. Now that's just a theory. Obviously, I'm going to have to like you pump it a few times and see what it feels like, but compressing the caliper is going to push fluid backwards. So if there was any little air in the line, I mean, it might have pushed it into the master and it's worse, but I won't know until I put the whole thing together and actually, sorry, people driving by, I got distracted. I won't know where the air ended up until I put it all back together and test it. So I'm just going to do this pad swap and then from there put my car back together and probably just call it a night at that point. It's already getting a little bit late, and I would like to be on the road before the bars start to close. Just because I don't want to be out there on the roads with anybody who's been out drinking and driving. So I'm just gonna put the car back together. I'm going to bring my toolbox and my toolbox and my bin of spare parts home with me, so that way if I end up having time tomorrow or if I end up having time like during the week, I can just do the work either at my apartment or over at Louis when I'm doing stuff over there for him. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the night. I just got to do that pad swap over there and put my tires back on the car, pack up and go. Let's get it. So these are the tools I needed. 1/4-inch drive ratchet with a 7mm hex. A 7mm hex that's cut so I can get to the top of the caliper on the handbrake side. A flathead screwdriver so I can compress the calipers. And then, I was looking all over for it, the drill with a wire wheel on the end of it so I can clean up the pins and the pad mating surfaces on the caliper. So let's get into it. So do you see how nasty that pin is? And this was the one with the cap on it. So whatever grease I used last time was not good enough for the temperature that this goes through, clearly. And it just burned up. So you really need grease on these for the calipers to stay good. So I'm going to make sure, actually I might even just replace this one just because it feels pretty grooved up. Yeah, so that's what they're supposed to look like. Granted, it doesn't have any grease on it, but they're supposed to be clean. They're supposed to be like a machined surface like this. So that is definitely the reason my caliper was hanging up. And I got a bunch of these, so I'm not really worried about it. Hard to do that, but I'm not worried about messing up the rotors. If anything, it cleaned a little bit of the corrosion off of the edge of the disc here. So I just cleaned up all of the surfaces where the pad is going to go on both the bracket and the caliper. You want to make sure when you're doing the caliper that you don't hit any of the rubber boots. If you hit any of the rubber boots need to be replaced, because if you don't replace them and you leave the tear in it, it will allow dust and debris into the caliper socket or into... As I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted by my GoPro stopping recording, I said the thing. I made it do the thing. So, yeah, so if you tear the boot on the caliper, or if you mess up the rubber seal for the pins, it will allow dust and debris into the areas where you don't want dust and debris, and allow corrosion to build and make the caliper go bad. They can be rebuilt, but it will basically just not be a good time because you'll have to do it right then and there. You can get away with running them like that, but again, it's just a matter of time before it'll leave you on the side of the road with a frozen caliper, which you don't want. So my handbrake setup just uses factory calipers, which allows me to just run factory pads. So when I do a brake job, I buy 2 pairs of pads, 2 of the same pairs of pads, and I just dedicate one set to this caliper and the other set goes to this caliper. So let's go for a walk. Over to the caliper department. These ones look good. Let's try one of these ones. I can grease these guys up. Did I bring it over here with me? Of course not. I brought everything except for the grease. So I got this CRC ceramic fortified brake system grease. Good for up to 3,000 degrees. I can't see what that other number is. Oh, minus 50 degrees to over 3,000 degrees. All right, so that's all done. I need to go find one more of these anti-rattle clips, and I need to get 3 more of the caps for the slide pins. But besides that, the brake job is all done. Let's head back over to my little brake bucket and see what I got. That is a front. Those are all fronts. That's a rear, but it's just a caliper. Just a rear, no bracket. So I have 2 rear calipers, and neither of them have what I need. Not in there. I know I have more brake stuff somewhere. I think I mixed it in with Louis' stuff. It's in a box. It says E36 brake stuff on it. Look at that. E36 brake stuff. Those are fronts. That's a front. I think that's a rear. Yeah, I think that's a rear. Is there any more in there? Brand new one, baby. It actually looks like that one was a front too. Yeah, tons of front ones. Tons of fronts, 1 rear. Sick. Oh, I forgot to look for the caps for the pins. So I don't see what everybody's problem is with these. You put one part on, you put, I usually do the bottom first. You do the bottom, you put it in the next hole, you grab the top here, you put the top down, and then you take the middle part and push it up, and it pops itself into place. So I don't understand what everybody's problem is with those. Yeah, I needed both of my hands, but you don't need any screwdrivers, you don't need any tools or spring tools or what, like, you just pop it on with your hands. If you need gloves, go ahead, put some gloves on, but no caps, no caps, no caps. Did I only have 3 extra caps? No caps, no caps. No cap, dog. I'm just gonna bring a spare alternator with me. It's already like 10 o'clock at night, so I definitely want to get home before midnight. So I'm just going to leave it the way it is. I have a voltometer in the car. So I mean, the alternator works. I don't know. It's on a cold idle right now, so it's kind of all over the place, but it works. It puts out 13.8, 13.9, so I'm not worried that the alternator itself is going to stop putting anything out. I'm just worried that the pulley is going to seize and throw the belt. So since I am going drifting this coming Friday, I'm just gonna bring my spare parts bin, which has extra belts, it has an extra alternator, I mean axles, arms, whatever I need. So I'm just gonna bring that with me so that whenever I get a chance during the week, I'll be able to swap the alternator, just so I don't get left on the side of the road. But yeah, I'm ready to go. We are all good. We have brakes. The handbrake definitely needs to be bled more, but I have stainless steel lines for that. So what I'm gonna do is swap out the lines at some point during the week, flush all of the old fluid out, and then put the fresh fluid, fresh lines, fresh brake pads, and bleed it that way. So it should hopefully work the way it's supposed to. So that's gonna do it for the night. I'm all set here. I'm ready to go home. I just need to wash my hands, and that's it. Let me just get just one more shot. I love the way this car looks. Yeah, that's a good car. I can't wait to make this one just as cool. All right, that's it. Have a good night, guys.